It started like all dumb wars do, with someone thinking their time is more important than everyone else's, and their SUV is a chariot sent from the heavens. In my case, that someone was Karen, a woman so smug. I'm convinced her car runs not on gasoline, but on self-righteous fumes. Now, I live on a corner lot in a sleepy neighborhood where the loudest thing you usually hear is the wind rustling the hedges. Or at least, that was the case before Karen moved in 2 houses down and decided our quiet street was her personal racetrack and my lawn was just suggested terrain. It started subtly. 1 tire mark, maybe 2. I thought, maybe the mail truck got a little frisky. But then, it became routine. Every morning, Karen would pull her car out like she was being chased by paparazzi, swinging the wheel wide like she was escaping an explosion in an action movie. And every time, her back tire would kiss my lawn. By week 3, that kiss had turned into a full makeout session. I caught her in the act once. Just once. I was sipping my coffee like a normal, functioning adult when I saw her white Range Rover roll up, tires crunching over the edge of my freshly reseeded grass like it was meant to be a driveway. I stared. She saw me. And smiled. Smiled. The kind of smug, dismissive smile that said, "Your property is just a minor inconvenience on my journey to Trader Joe's." Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not the lawn police. I'm not out here measuring grass height or hand weeding for the thrill of it. But I did spend 2 weekends fixing up the patch she was now using as a personal exit ramp. So, I tried to talk to her. "Hey Karen," I said one morning, catching her just as she was reversing. "You've been clipping my lawn pretty often lately. Think you could." She didn't even let me finish. Just tilted her sunglasses down, gave me that look, and said, "Maybe you should move your lawn back a little." Move. My lawn. Back. Oh, okay. Let me just roll it up and shift it into the neighbor's kitchen, shall I? But I kept my cool. Because I had a secret weapon Karen didn't know about. I was petty. Not scream in the street petty. No. I'm the kind of petty that's strategic. The kind that doesn't honk, it plots. So I watched. I waited. I counted exactly how many inches her tire crept into my grass. I learned her schedule. Monday through Friday. Out at 7:45 a.m. sharp. Right turn, sharp curve, tire drift, boom. Lawn destruction. By now, the damage looked like someone tried to plow a single-lane country road through my yard. My grass. Gone. My soil. Compressed. My patience. On life support. But instead of going full angry neighbor with a clipboard, I started laying groundwork for a very different kind of trap. See, Karen didn't realize my grass wasn't just grass anymore. It was now weaponized. Let's just say I made a few upgrades. Subtle ones. Nothing illegal. Oh no. But very effective. Karen had no idea that beneath those blades of grass she kept trampling was something designed to make her morning drives a little more complicated. And the best part? She wouldn't even see it coming. Just like she didn't see me, that morning, watching from behind the curtain. Mug in hand. Smile on my face. Waiting. Karen, bless her arrogant little heart, was not a learn-through-subtlety kind of person. You could slap a neon sign on the grass that read, "Private property, do not trespass," and she'd still roll over it like she was reenacting a monster truck rally. So I didn't bother with signs. Instead, I went with something much more poetic. I bought sprinklers. Not your average, dainty little lawn spritzers either. No, these were the heavy-duty, military-grade oscillators that could knock a squirrel off its feet. But wait, it gets better. I set them up underground, right on the edge of the lawn she kept violating, wired to a motion sensor that only activated when her precious Range Rover approached. They were invisible, silent, and armed. First morning it triggered was a thing of beauty. I heard her engine purr to life, like a cat that only pees on things out of spite. She backed out with her usual flair, one tire lazily climbing onto my grass like it paid rent. PSSHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHsmacking her passenger window with enough force to make her swerve. I peeked through the blinds like the world's most satisfied villain. She threw her car in park, stomped out in designer wedges, and inspected the spray-soaked side of her car like it had personally insulted her family. I had to bite my cheek to keep from laughing. She stood there, blinking water off her sunglasses, drenched in confusion and indignation. Then she did what Karens do best, stormed over to my front door. Knock, 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 knock. I opened the door with the innocence of a man who had absolutely rigged his lawn like a Home Alone trap house. She didn't even say hello, just pointed at her dripping car like it was evidence in a murder trial. Your sprinklers sprayed my car. Did they? I sipped my coffee. Huh. Weird. Must be on a timer. She narrowed her eyes like she was about to deliver the line that would win her an HOA Oscar. You're harassing me. I think my lawn's just defending itself, I replied, all casual charm and not so subtle sarcasm. She huffed, stormed off, and, predictably, filed a complaint with the HOA. Now let's talk about our HOA president, Ted. Ted is the kind of guy who thinks khakis are a personality. He called me 2 days later, all polite menace. We received a complaint about targeted sprinkler activation. Really? I said. Because my sprinklers go off when there's motion. Could have been a cat. Could have been a car. Ted hesitated. Are you using motion sensors to target vehicles? Ted, I said, lowering my voice like I was about to tell him a war secret. Do you know how much I spent reseeding that lawn? No. Too much. And Karen drives over it every day like it's a speed bump sent from hell. I'm just trying to protect what's mine. To his credit, Ted paused, then mumbled something about checking the bylaws, and hung up. Spoiler, the bylaws said absolutely nothing about motion-activated sprinklers. So Karen's complaint? Flushed away, just like her ego after the second soaking. Oh yes, it happened again. And again. And every time, she got wetter and angrier, like some kind of reverse evolution of a car wash. By the third incident, she was yelling out her window, fists in the air, like a gladiator screaming at the gods. I would have felt bad if I didn't enjoy every single drop of that sprinkler-induced justice. But here's where things took a darker turn. Karen escalated. She stopped hitting the lawn by accident. She started doing it on purpose. Next thing I know, she's reversing out of her driveway, swinging wide like a demolition derby queen, and grinding her tires into my grass like she's trying to dig for oil. No hesitation. Just full throttle destruction. The message was clear. You wet my car? I kill your yard. So I did what any calm, reasonable adult would do. I upped the stakes. Because Karen thought she was playing chicken with a guy holding a water hose. She didn't know I'd just installed Phase 2. And Phase 2 was underground. Now, I want to be clear, I never planned on becoming a turf warfare engineer. But Karen turned my lawn into her off-road hobby course, so I had no choice but to adapt. Think of me less like a homeowner and more like a suburban Bond villain. Enter Phase 2, the spike mats. Okay. Before you get excited, they weren't real spike strips. I wasn't trying to pop her tires and end up on the 6 o'clock news. No, I got creative. You ever heard of grass reinforcement grids? They're these rugged plastic panels people use under turf to stabilize ground in high-traffic areas. Basically invisible. Legal. But if you drive over them like a lunatic, your tires are going to feel it. And if you happen to be in a white Range Rover on low-profile tires, well, let's just say the ride stops being smooth real quick. Installation was a quiet midnight operation. Me, a headlamp, a shovel, and the giddy laugh of a man who knows vengeance is just one vroom away. I buried the panels an inch below the grass line, right where her tires love to dance. Covered them up nice and neat. Sprinklers still armed. Turf looking innocent. Now came the waiting game. And she didn't disappoint. Next morning, Karen pulled out of her driveway with all the grace of a Walmart parade float. Her tire met the edge of my grass, then, thud, thump thump, clank. The sound was delicious, like a bag of wrenches being dropped down a flight of stairs. I watched her slam the brakes. Get out. Walk around the car like it had personally betrayed her. She crouched down, poked at the ground, and for the first time, looked genuinely confused. It was beautiful. She didn't have the range of vocabulary to describe what happened. She just stood there, staring at the grass like it had grown teeth and bitten her car. Meanwhile, I stood behind my blinds, sipping my coffee like it was aged whiskey. Later that day, I got the HOA letter. Karen had escalated again. Apparently, I was intentionally altering natural landscaping to obstruct vehicular traffic, which, last I checked, was called having a yard. I called Ted. Ted, my man. I just reinforced the soil. That patch was getting torn up. It's an erosion issue. You're reinforcing the lawn? Exactly. Standard garden product. Improves water drainage. Eco-friendly. Karen's issue is that her car keeps driving where it's not supposed to. There was a long pause. Ted was fighting two internal battles, his mild HOA authority and the fact that Karen was a pain in the neck even he didn't like. Finally, he said, "Well, look into it." That was HOA speak for, "I don't want to deal with this nightmare woman again." But Karen? Oh, she wasn't done. The next morning, I caught her in full investigation mode. She was out there crouched on my lawn, poking at the grass with a broom handle like she expected to find a landmine. She looked like a raccoon trying to hack a vending machine. And then, as if to crown herself queen of bad ideas, she pulled out her phone and started recording. I watched her from my porch, arms crossed. "You filming the grass, Karen? Want me to autograph it?" She jumped, spun around, and gave me a look like I'd just insulted her overpriced leggings. "I'm gathering evidence." Of what? My grass sitting there? Real criminal stuff. You're damaging my vehicle. Oh, so your car's allergic to boundaries. Got it. Her jaw clenched. She stormed off without another word, like a woman who just lost a staring contest with turf. But behind those big sunglasses and bigger attitude, Karen was plotting. I could feel it. She wasn't just mad. She was humiliated. And that meant she was about to do something really stupid. She just didn't realize. I was 2 steps ahead. I knew she'd retaliate. The sprinklers humiliated her. The bumpy, mystery lawn wounded her pride. But nothing bruised a Karen quite like not being able to win. And when Karens can't win, they don't surrender. They escalate. So imagine my total lack of surprise when I came home one afternoon to find a handwritten note taped to my front door. In all caps. With underlines. "You have been warned. Your booby-trapped yard is a liability. Fix it, or I'll take legal action." Oh, Karen. First, what kind of grown adult uses the phrase booby-trapped unironically? Second, you taped it. To my door. With masking tape. On a 92-degree day. Spoiler. It melted halfway down the siding, and I had to scrape it off with a spatula. Which is ironic, because that's also what your Range Rover's undercarriage was going to need soon. But I didn't respond. I didn't call. I didn't even give her the satisfaction of a glare. I just smiled, waved politely when I saw her, and continued my lawn upgrades in secret. Because while Karen was out here writing threats like a discount villain, I was prepping phase 3. See, I had an ace up my sleeve, one that didn't involve water, bumps, or even confrontation. It involved documentation. I'd been filming her. Every single morning. Motion sensor cams. Discreet. High def. Timestamps included. I had a lovely little folder on my desktop titled Karen's Greatest Hits. Volume 1. Every time she tore through the lawn. Every tire mark. Every instance of her violating property lines. But I wasn't just collecting these for fun. Although, not gonna lie, watching them was oddly therapeutic. I was building a case, because Karen had finally done what I knew she'd do eventually. She crossed the legal line. After her 6th sprinkler soak and 2nd bumpy drive, she pulled into my lawn, not into, like diagonally. Full-on drove across a corner of my yard like she was in a getaway scene. That patch had just been reseeded. I had receipts. I had photos. I had video. And I had the exact quote from our HOA rulebook, which, surprise, explicitly prohibited any vehicular incursion onto another resident's landscaped property. So I filed the complaint first, with the HOA and the City Code Enforcement Office. And unlike Karen's emotional rants about booby traps, mine had dates, videos, screenshots, a neat little summary packet with color-coded printouts because yes, I'm that level of petty when provoked. But while I waited for that slow wheel of justice to turn, something delightful happened. Community yard sale day. Now, in any normal town, this would be a peaceful Saturday where people hawk old lamps and DVDs nobody wants. But in our neighborhood, It's the social Super Bowl. Everyone's out. Everyone's watching, including Karen. She rolled up mid-morning, wearing a sun hat the size of a satellite dish and those massive sunglasses that make it look like her face is trying to escape. She strutted around like she was mayor of Yard Sale City. Then came the moment. She left early, backed out of the community center parking lot, took her usual shortcut, straight across my lawn. Now, normally this would have triggered the sprinklers, or maybe a rude jolt from the grid. But today was special, because the night before, I'd spread a generous, juicy layer of eco-safe, non-toxic marking dye over the turf. Harmless to grass. Highly visible. Bright, embarrassing hot pink. So when her back tires hit it, they turned fuchsia. Two giant neon stripes trailing behind her car like the world's most humiliating taillights. Everyone saw. People turned. Neighbors pointed. One kid shouted, "Mom, her wheels are pink," like he'd just spotted a unicorn. Karen slammed on the brakes mid-street, jumped out, looked at her tires, screamed. Yes, screamed. I stood on my porch, holding a glass of lemonade like I'd been rehearsing this moment in my dreams. I didn't say a word, just raised the glass and gave her a nod. You could see the existential crisis ripple through her bones. She got back in the car like it was on fire and peeled out, which, of course, left even more pink tire tracks all down the block. Cleanup? Oh, that's on her. It stains for about a week. Maybe 2, depending on how often you drive around like a jackass. And just like that, Karen became the hot pink legend of our neighborhood. She had no idea what was coming next, because the city had just emailed me back. The email came on a Tuesday morning, and I swear, it sparkled. Subject: code violation complaint, action initiated. Turns out, when you submit 14 video clips, 7 annotated photos, 3 eyewitness statements, thanks, retired neighbor Judy, and a concise summary written like a lawyer binge-watched petty revenge TikToks, the city takes notice. Especially when you phrase things like, continued property damage due to unlawful vehicular trespass by a resident refusing to acknowledge boundaries, literal and legal. I'd CC'd the HOA too, because sharing is caring. And oh, they cared. Suddenly Ted was very interested in resolving the ongoing tensions and scheduled a mediation meeting in the community center. That's where things really came unglued. Karen walked in like she was storming Versailles. She had a folder, you know the type, too thick, filled with printouts that were probably screenshots of my lawn from Google Maps. Her opening line: "I'm here because I've been victimized by a hostile neighbor who's booby-trapping his yard and stalking me with cameras." I opened my folder, placed it gently on the table, and said, "I'm here because she turned my lawn into a NASCAR pit stop and thinks laws don't apply to her Range Rover." Cue Ted, sighing into his coffee like he regrets every career choice he's ever made. I played one video. Just one. The greatest hit. Karen's car cruising right across my lawn, tires spinning, soil flying, and the hot pink dye kicking in like a cartoon prank. Karen's face went pale. Ted choked on his biscotti. "That's not," she sputtered. "That's Tuesday," I said. "And here's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday." Ted held up his hand. Okay, we get it." Then the city rep laid it out. Karen would be cited for property damage. She'd have to cover the costs of repairs, with receipts provided, of course. And if she continued, further violations would escalate to fines. Real ones. The kind that make HOA dues look like lunch money. Karen did that thing where she opened her mouth like she had a comeback, then realized every possible comeback sounded like, "I have the right to drive wherever I want." So she just huffed. But here's the best part. The chef's kiss of petty karma. The city also made her attend. I swear this is real. A community respect and property boundaries workshop. A 3-hour PowerPoint. On lawn etiquette. I almost framed the notice. And the HOA? Well, they issued me a letter too, an apology. Turns out nothing I did broke any rules. The sprinklers, the grid, the dye, all fair game under personal property maintenance. Karen, on the other hand, was now officially on community watch status. That's HOA speak for "we're watching you like a hawk in khakis." But wait, it gets even better. The city's fine, just enough to sting. Just enough to force her to cancel her summer landscaping project, the one she wouldn't shut up about at the last HOA meeting. Goodbye pergola, hello payout. Guess what I did with the settlement money? Built a patio. A beautiful, stone-inlaid patio. Right where her tire tracks used to cut through my yard. It's got a fire pit. LED lighting. Even one of those ridiculous wine coolers I'll never use, but love having out of spite. Neighbors came by. Complimented it. Judy brought brownies. Karen walks her dog the long way around now. Won't make eye contact. Last I heard, she's lobbying to get cameras banned from residential grass zones. Whatever that means. Sometimes I'll sit out there on my new patio, sip lemonade, and look at the faint, fading outline of pink in the road. And I smile. Because Karen tried to turn my lawn into a runway. But she forgot one thing. I'm the air traffic controller now. Thank you for being with us. Please share in the comments where you are watching from and whether you liked everything, and see you next time.